Hi, and welcome, and thank you for joining San Diego Real Estate Talk with Rosita. Conversations and guests that I have on this show are experts in the field when you buy, sell, invest, or simply want to maintain your property. The goal is to simplify your real estate journey and provide you with information so that you can make an informed decision to achieve your home ownership goals. I'm Rosita Perez. I'm a residential realtor with Coldwell Banker here in San Diego. And today our topic is Beyond Rent Checks, the multitude of benefits found in property management. I am honored today to have my guest, Cheryl Berkson. Cheryl, hi.
Hi, so glad to be here, Rosita.
So glad to have you. Cheryl is the owner of Chase Pacific Property Management and Real Estate. And she has been in business since 1993, 30 years of experience.
Hey, can't believe it. Celebrating
That's
30
huge.
years.
That's huge. And her experience benefits her clients when deciding on renting their home and what fits their needs. So Cheryl, thank you for joining us. We just appreciate you being in business for 30 years, being a woman in and leading the property management world. Thank you so much.
It's an honor to be here, Rosita. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah. And so we've got a short 30 minutes, and I know that you have so much information. I want people to be able to understand, especially those of us in the baby boomer generation, right? Where we have built this wealth and now we're retired and now we have to struggle. Some of us have to struggle with paying the mortgage. Say if we want to move into the Midwest and have a quieter life, no idea what to do with the property. Can it even be an advantage to rent it? So those kind of things, the financial benefits of renting out their property, whatever tax advantages they might have. Can you touch upon that?
Sure. So it's a great approach and it's a great thought at this time. And a lot of people are in life transitions and they're moving and making decisions, and you always want to make the best decisions that you can. And I think information is important. I'm an information gatherer, and I also ask people questions, what they think. But ultimately, we all have to make our own decisions because we live with the decisions we make, not everybody else. But in focusing on rental properties, some of the things that example, like the financial benefits of holding on to a property and renting it out. Number one, it's still one of the best tax advantages that the IRS allows. When you have a rental property, the IRS looks at it as you're in business. And as such, you fill out a Schedule E on your taxes, and you can take deductions on that you can't normally if you're just on your primary residence. So example, if you are renting out a condo or a home that has an HOA fee in it, that suddenly becomes tax deductible on a rental. Also, all management fees are tax deductible. Any repairs you do to the property, even things that you need to do to get it quote unquote rent ready, keep all those receipts because those are all tax deductible. And then going into the future, maintenance and repair for the property, those are all continuing tax deductible items, including any utilities that one would pay, pool service, landscape service, those become tax deductible as they don't on your primary residence. The also thing, when people want to keep their property, if they want to move out of the city or out of the state, they may go so and do so, but if they sell their property, they may find that they're not so happy where they went and they want to come back. If they've sold the property and don't have it, it's going to be hard to buy back in.
That's a great point, because we envision something being so wonderful, and then we get there and this is not what we thought.
Not what we thought. Exactly. I know. I've had a couple of friends that happened to, and they had sold their property and then they had to rebuy in. They were able to buy back in, but not the magnitude of a property that they had sold. So that is something to think about, holding on to the property. Also, if you have a property, maybe there's a need in your family that somebody may need to move into it. It could be a son or daughter gets married. They need a place to live. They have a place to go to. If you have a property it's like a second home for family. And recently here in San Diego, the laws concerning the rental properties right now are very strict as to what you can do with them. So that's something to keep on top of. We're very, very on top of all the current and ongoing laws that are tenant landlord oriented. San Diego seemed to be a little stricter than the rest of the state of California these days, that we keep our owners very informed as well as ourselves to protect our owners to those things such as, can you move back in when the lease expires or when the tenant is in there? Can you renovate the property? Can you sell the property if a tenant's there? But we have all the updates on those, and that's something really cool. But
great info.
yeah, so but the financial benefits are you've got a property. My father once told me, and he said, there's only so much land, and the value is in the land, and that's what real estate's the value is always there. It's tangible, it's there. And one of the things that I've experienced over the 30 years of doing this, that we have dealt with a lot of people in the military, as well as people who have bought properties in their various job locations throughout the nation. By the time they retire and they've held onto those properties, most of them paid off. It is a retirement income that people can look at as well. Holding on to a rental property, getting it paid off, then all of a sudden you have a nice retirement income. But I'll also say, I'll give you an example with myself. In 1978, moved to San Diego, and I bought a property to move into of $69,900, and it was a large detached condo in the Mira Mesa area. Well, I have held onto that. I moved into another area in Scripps Ranch, but I held onto this condo, and you let it go, you put it in. I've got a tenant in who has been there for 23 years. She's been in the property. The rent that I charge her has not been market rent because she takes care of it like her own home. But I've always had a negative on the property. I hate to say, but I have. That's not your goal necessarily. But when I look at the equity that has been accumulated in that home, despite the negative I've had, there is no way I could have saved that kind of money for the equity and for what I could sell it for today. So there's a great benefit in holding on to properties for eventual equity that you have, that you could sell down the road when one retires as well. And also keeping it for over time, you can raise rents over time that you will be either a positive cash flow or a break even, and also get your mortgage paid off. And then again, 100% cash comes in when property's paid off and you're renting it out. So that's another financial benefit that I personally have found out that for me, it's been a great asset. A great asset.
You can't lose having real estate in California. You
can't. We're like a little nation unto ourselves. It's like whatever's happening in Nebraska is not happening here or all those other states. Not to diminish the importance of those states, but to know that what's happening here is it's a good financial investment, and especially in California.
So let me summarize real quick, because we know the business because we've been in the real estate property management. Your property management, that's a whole new world for me. So I'll just stay.
I never set out to do that, by the way. It just happens to be the way it went, and God had me in that path, so I stayed there.
Yeah. So to summarize, I heard a couple of benefits. If you decide to move out of Cali and move to Nebraska, let's say, you can rent your property out, and if it doesn't work out in Nebraska, you can come back home.
That's correct.
And you'll have a home.
Yeah.
That you can pay the mortgage versus moving back and having to pay 7% on a mortgage loan, right? So that's one benefit. The other benefit is tax advantages.
Yeah, there are a lot.
A lot of tax advantages. And then if the home is paid off, then it's just a rental revenue for you every month to add to your bottom line wherever you're living.
That's right. That's right.
Did I miss any other tax advantage?
No, I think you touched on it. And then the one thing I might add too is that, when you come to that end of your life time, you have a home that can be left to family that they might want to take advantage of, or it'd be an asset you could leave behind for family should you not have needed to sell it prior to your life being ended. Yeah.
Yeah. So. And that's what we all want to do, right? That's the end goal, is to be able to leave a legacy.
Yes.
For the next generation. in not just monetary, but in an example of keeping a property, keeping it, maintaining it, and having it as a tax advantage, right? This
Yes.
is all that's such an example where the
Mhm.
kids can take from and say, "Wow, it's not just a piece of property that she left me or he left me. It is a whole mentality."
Yeah, it's a
Of,
family legacy. It can be a
yeah,
family legacy.
yes, absolutely.
Memories, yeah, that have been created there with various holidays and get-togethers, or just the fact that it's something that was in the family ownership. Something to be said of good about that, I think.
Absolutely, because that's all what we want. I mean,
Mhm.
my dad, when he passed away, he had bought his house in 1969 in Chula Vista. It was $19,000.
Oh my! Probably wished you'd bought about 10 of them, right?
Right, right. And when he passed away, he left that in the will to all of his children.
Oh,
But
oh,
here's the challenge: he had 13 children. So
oh my gosh!
So I was like,
Wow.
okay, how are we going to split this 13 ways? So,
Mhm.
we went through the whole process, but the
Yeah.
the the beauty is that he left, that was so important to him. He wanted to really leave something to his kids. And
Oh,
so that
showed his
was,
heart. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So that's a beauty about having real estate. And in California, the equity just keeps going up
It's
and
going
up.
up, yeah. It'll have its ups and downs, but if you look at, say, even like 1900 to the year 2000, yes, the market has gone up and down like this, but it's
Yeah.
not stayed like this. It goes up and down like this so that it keeps going up.
Right, right.
We'll continue to do that no matter what the economy is.
So can you walk us through, if someone is watching and they're thinking about, this might be an option for me. Can
Mhm.
you kind of summarize and walk us through high level of what they would need to do?
To, like, say, a first-time renter, a first-time owner of a property to rent it out
Yes,
and
to
find
work
out.
with your company to
Yeah.
rent it out.
Oh, great question. And I like working with first rental owners because there's one other thing I always want to start out with is that rentals, I mean, an investment property is like stocks and bonds. That's an investment at risk. There's always a little bit of risk. Not that I don't know a whole lot about stocks and bonds, but I know about property. And so I feel like that's something, again, tangible, it's workable, it's seeable. So one of the things I suggest, if an owner has a mortgage on a property, if they can get 30 days ahead, 1 month ahead on the mortgage payment, that's what the goal should be. Because should there be a vacancy factor sometime, should there be a rent not paid, should there be any other issues that come up, or say we try to get it rented and doesn't rent right away, their mortgage is going to continue to become due. So I suggest see if they can get 1 month ahead on their mortgage payment, keep that in a little savings. Also is to go through the property, check everything to make sure that it's in working order. No leaks, light bulbs all working, the smoke detectors, CO devices, up to code, up to compliance. Figure out, are you going to provide a landscape service or not if you have a single family home? If there's an HOA, what does the HOA include, say on a condo for a tenant? Is it going to include water, trash pickup? Is it going to include also cable and Wi-Fi? These things they just need to determine ahead of time. But also I would want them to understand, okay, going to put a tenant into your property, have it in rent-ready condition at the highest level you can. And the reason is you're going to get a better tenant. You can get a higher rental rate. And the law is the tenant is to return the property when they vacate under the condition that they took possession of it in. Therefore, the best condition a property can be in when a tenant moves in is how they're supposed to leave it, minus any wear and tear. That's normal. Now that's legal, because if we took somebody to court and say, well, there's this little nick on the wall, the judge is going to say if the owner was living in the property, that could probably happen too. So it has to be beyond normal wear and tear and abusive. That you can keep from the security deposit. But what we do is also we run rental reviews for the owners. What will your property rent for? and we go on the MLS, the multiple listing service, and look at what's listed there within the same zip code that they have, with the same parameters, square footage, number of bedrooms and bathrooms. We go back about 6 months to a year to take a look at that. And then we also look on places like Zillow and Trulia and everything else that might be showing what are market rents in the area. Now, if an appraiser were to come in and talk about what it would rent for, they cannot look at Zillow or Trulia. They can only look at what the multiple listing shows. That's just same thing when they do a house appraisal for a sale. Can't look at Zillow. They can look at it and get maybe an emotional thought about it, but they can't actually document it that way. So
an emotional thought. I like that.
Emotional thought. So that when I talk to somebody who is thinking about, and we're happy to get consultations, no cost, no obligation. We'll run rental reviews for no cost, let them know what it would rent for. We can give them our advice, give them our best information as far as, again, what it would rent for, what it means tax-wise, what deductions they can take. Also, when they fix it up, if they need to do some things to get it clean, get the carpet cleaning, do some painting, get the yard, spruced up, all receipts, keep them, because that's all tax deductible, because now you're making your house rent ready. So that's, again, an IRS option there. So, but the financials are very important. They want you make sure that the mortgage is being paid, the HO is being paid, and like I recommend, get 1 month ahead on those, so that if there's a vacancy factor, even long term, there can be a vacancy factor. Tenant moves out, maybe there's some repairs to get done. There's going to be things where need to be done there. So, and also know that there will be repairs and maintenance that come up along the way. Garbage disposal may go out, or there's a leak in the bathroom area. So what we do in our company is we do require a $500, what we call a reserve fund. It's the owner's money. We take no fees out of that. It just stays in their account to help out with these minor issues that come up. If it's major, then we go to them and say, like a hot water heater might need to be replaced. Then we have to let them know the cost, and then they would send money. We have portals on our website. They can just automatically do ACH right into their accounts from our website. So
let me, if I can give a quick summary, because and a little story. So my brother was working with a property management company, and they never kept him up to date. They never raised the rent. It was horrible. And so I referred my brother to Cheryl, and you guys took such good care. He just really has a lot of respect for you. And so here's a summary, because those that are first time homeowners that want to rent, it's just like, wow, it's all this information. So I like to just take a moment to summarize what I know personally you have done in your business for getting a homeowner to renting their property. So I know that you really take all the information, you do all the research to find out what hopefully the estimated rent will be, and then a list of maybe what can be done to spruce up the place to get higher rent, and the consultation that is free.
Yep.
Because it is a big decision, right?
Huge. It's a huge.
And you manage all the paperwork, what comes in, what goes out, and they get a check monthly with all the explanations. And the other thing is that you really hold their hand going through this whole process.
We just really believe in that personal touch. I look at it as one of the foundation of my company when I started it 30 years ago was treat other people the way you want to be treated, the golden rule. And I always look at it as if it were me and I'm paying a management company to take care of my property. What are my expectations? How would I like to be treated? And I train my staff that way. One of the biggest things is communication. It has to be very important that you listen, and that if something's going on with their property, we are their eyes. They're not there. We have a lot of owners that live out of the city, out of the state, even out of the country. And we are their eyes. They want to know what's going on with their property, and they're not going to know that unless we tell them and keep them up to date. We do yearly inspections on the properties, and we do. Then they can see, what's really going on with the property. When we initially take a property, we'll go visit the property, walk through the entire home with them, and kind of give them ideas like, well, you might want to do this, might want to do that. Here's maybe a little liability factor, like maybe a trip factor, maybe a loose tile, or maybe something in the yard needs to be removed because, again, we're trying to protect our owner from any liabilities for the tenant, would come in. So, but that personal touch, Rosetta, it makes all the difference in the world. It does. I know how I feel when I'm working with a company or I'm getting a service. If it's not like, making it good, making it great is not this much more, it's that much more. Just making sure that you're keeping that they want to know they're cared for, and they want to know that their house is being cared for too, because that's how I would feel.
No, the biggest thing for me that you do that I used to hate doing, because I used to rent our own property too.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest thing is interviewing the renters.
Vetting them, right? Yeah, looking at their application.
Application, their everything, the finances, can they afford it? That whole thing. That is such a huge benefit that your company does.
We do. We take our time with them because it's, again, I want to say, would I put this tenant in my property? We do want the owners to make the final decision. We gather the information. We have a strong reporting system that gives a credit report, finances, or payment history and everything, as well as evictions, collections, sexual offender, judgments, all those things. And then we do contact their employer to validate employment, as well as call our current and previous landlords if they have them. And at that point, we call the owner and say, this is what we have. Now, legally, we cannot give them a copy of that report, but we can tell them what's on it. And we are very transparent with that. We like the owner to make the decision. And if they say, I'm not really happy with them, and they may ask us our opinion, and we'll give them our honest opinion. But we'll always honor their final decision, as long as moral, legal, and ethical. That's it. We have to keep them on track with those three things there, so that they're not stepping over any fair housing issues or legal issues and requirements, compliance issues.
Absolutely. Cheryl, we are at the end of our time. We can go on talking
fast.
So how can people reach you? Can you give their the contact info?
Certainly. Very happy to talk I'll give you my direct cell number, which is 858-922-3720. Again, 858-922-3720, or my email, which is Cheryl with a C, CHERYL, at chasepacific.com. Chase like the bank, Pacific like the ocean.com, and that's lowercase, no spaces. Cheryl at chasepacific.com. And I'd be happy to talk with anybody, or even communicate by email. It'd be a joy. I would.
Now, you cover all of San Diego, right?
We do. We work all of San Diego County. Physically, our office is located in Scripps Ranch, but we do cover the entire county from Oceanside to the border, and inland as well, all the way to Ramona. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. It's always a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you so much. It's been a joy to be here with you today. And I hope that what I've shared is going to help anyone who might be watching and listening. If there's more questions, want to maybe a more in-depth discussion, please call. Please get in touch with me. Yeah. Thank you so much.
She is truly amazing. I recommend my clients to her all the time, and have had nothing but glowing reviews. So
fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. And God bless.
So thank you so much for everybody listening. Again, I'm Rosita Perez. I am a residential realtor here in our beautiful San Diego, California, with Coldwell Banker. When you have questions regarding buying, selling, or investing in real estate, please feel free to call me at 619-665-9086. My website is rositasaleshomestoday.com. If you have specific questions or topics that you want to have on this podcast, please reach out to me and we'll see if we can get it done. Otherwise, have an amazing week. Bye.